Today we sit down with a man whose career embodies resilience, grit and leadership. Paul Robinson is a footballer who made over 750 professional appearances across more than 2 decades in the game, playing for clubs like Watford, West Bromwich, Albion, Bolton Wanderers, Leeds United and Birmingham City. Known as a fierce competitor on the pitch, Paul's story isn't just about the highs of promotions, cut runs and survival battles. It's also about the struggles, the uncertainty of being without a club, the injuries, the sacrifices and the constant pressure performing at the top level. This conversation isn't just about football, it's about life. It's about how to bounce back when doors close, how to stay focused when self-doubt creeps in, and how to lead by example through good times and bad. Paul Robinson's journey offers lessons not only for young players dreaming of the Premier League, but for anyone facing challenges and needing proof that resilience, discipline and belief can carry you through. Let's welcome Paul Robinson, former defender, captain and now coach, onto the podcast.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Robinson and I'm here at West Bromwich Albion with The Lost Dream, talking about my journey in and out of football. Stand in that tunnel, I'm ready to go, I want to win, that's my goal. My goal is to go out and win, get 3 points, get through to the next round of a cup. Yeah, that was my main drive, is that the opposition, I would stare at them in the tunnel and saying, you're not getting the better of me today. And I would go out and give my all. My all would be, if I didn't give my all, then I knew I'd let myself down as a person and as an individual. And that year was tough for me because I never started the game. So I never started when Brian Robson came in, so I never started some games. We got burgled as well as a family, so our whole house got ransacked and my wife wanted to move back to London. Again, people don't see that with what you have to deal with off the field. And yeah, that thought of knowing that you could lose your wife because she wants to go back to London while you're contracted to West Brom and having to do your job, it's tough. Could I have turned to drink again? Probably, yes, but I didn't. I'd stayed strong and I'd learnt from my younger ages to not go down that route again. So for me, it was about sticking together as a family. I had a young family, so I needed to support them. But it was hard. It was hard to know that people had gone through your house and they turned it upside down. They'd taken your wife's car off the drive, and we was here at the game. We was all sitting in the stand together as a family, and yeah, it's not nice. It wasn't a nice feeling, but yeah, at the end of the season when we survived, all of them emotions come together as one of knowing that we stuck together as a family and we got through it. We had to trust each other, not only as individuals but as a team. We believed, the manager believed, Brian Robson at the time, Nigel Pearson, his assistant, Craig Shakespeare. We had good leaders behind us as a group of players. And yeah, when you're going through a tough time like you do in football, it's about bouncing off people. We understood that we was in a tough situation, and the only way that we could get ourselves out of it is sticking together as a group. And we done that. We went on a winning run. We picked up points at the right time compared to other teams. So we had momentum, and that momentum then we knew that we had to take into the last game of the season against Portsmouth. And being at home with the fans behind us, we knew we were going to go into that game to win. But we were just relying on the other teams, and that's what it was. It was relying on Charlton to beat Palace, I think, at the time. We didn't know the result. We'd done our 2-0 result that we needed, and then we were standing on the pitch waiting, and then that feeling was just a lot of emotions that people don't understand, because when you're in the thick of things as a footballer, you go through a lot of emotions of what it means to people and what it means to your family, what it means to yourself, of what you've had to deal with. So when that final whistle went, knowing that we'd survived, it was just incredible. Is that it now? Is my time up at the age of 32? I just left Bolton. I didn't have a contract. I was training by myself. I was going on trials to like Coventry, Notts Forest. I went in that. I even went to Toronto to see out there if I could make it and stay in the game. And that didn't work out for me, because again, it's a big upheaval for your family to take them the other side of the world and move away with your family. I mean, fair play to Toronto. They did offer me a contract, but it wasn't what I wanted, and it wasn't the right choice. I wanted to stay in England. I wanted to be in a league that I knew, what I was brought up in, and I wanted to stay at home. So for me it was tough. It was trying to get through them periods of knowing that will the phone ring, will someone want you again, and you question yourself. You question yourself, is your time up as a footballer? But I just had to keep going, and I never give up. I had to be positive. I had to go in and show that my character, my personality, I had to go into the dressing room and fit in. Obviously Lee Clark who in the end gave me a call at Birmingham, brought me back from really where I was lost. I didn't know what to do. It was a game that I was brought up in from such a young age, and the hardest thing is when the phone stops ringing, who do you turn to? Is like the people that you would expect to call you and look after you. They're not there. They're not there anymore. They disappear. They don't want to help you anymore. Yes, I'd speak to my other coaches that I would have worked with, and they would always just say, "Look, Robert, you just got to stay strong. You got to stay positive." But that's hard. It's hard to stay positive when you don't know where you're going now. You don't have that mentor around. Kenny Jackett was a big mentor for me growing up as a kid. Graham Taylor, who'd sadly passed away, I couldn't phone him, couldn't speak to him. Who else is there to speak to? It was like I was putting trust in players that I'd played with, but they were going through similar situations throughout their careers with what they were going through at the age that they were at now. So we was all on the same boat. So for me, it's that last opportunity. I've got to go in and prove my worth. And then when I went into Birmingham, it was month-to-month contracts. Yeah. So again, it was like I was having to prove myself at the age of 32, 33 of what type of person I was and what character I was. But I was prepared to do that. That was my mentality. My mentality was I'm just going to show you. I'm going to show you, and you know that. You saw me on a daily basis of what I needed to do, but also what I needed to show the younger generation of what it's like to have that mentality. And they need to keep digging in when it's tough times. You've got to find a way. Yeah. I always adapted to my game. Obviously, when I got older, I knew I needed to play a different way because the game was changing with the speed of it and the players that were coming through. Obviously, I learnt from a young age to stay on my feet a little bit more, especially when you go and play in the Premier League against the players that you come up against. I remember a time as well when I was at Watford and I was only young. I was 19 and it was at Port Vale away, and all I had in my mind is that I need to win this tackle, when really did I need to go in for that tackle deep down. I ended up going in for the ball. I went in, got the ball, but went over the top of the ball at the same time because of the pace, and I broke the player's leg. And for me as a 19-year-old lad, it was like, what's just happened? Like obviously then the whistle goes and the referee had blown for a free kick like literally split seconds before, but when you're already committed and you're sliding for that ball, you don't realise what's going on. The game was oblivious to you when you're going in for that moment. And when I seen the player on the ground, like, God, it's just the noise that he was making. I was like, I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know what to do. He got carried off. Then you're walking up the tunnel, and your game now's gone. I didn't want to play the game. My head had gone. I didn't know what to do. So yeah, as you're walking up the tunnel, you've got the opposition manager standing in the tunnel screaming in your face, you've just broke his leg, blah blah blah, things like that. And that's, yeah, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. And I had to find a way of getting through the second half. Graham Taylor spoke to me because obviously they didn't want me to worry too much. But then after the game, obviously you are worried. You're worried about what's happened, like the after effects of. Now, how does this affect your game? So I knew I had to change the way I had to play as a player. And then I had the same then when I went with Blues. Again, obviously with the Blues fans, I was at West Brom at the time, and I ended up going for a 50-50 with Damien Johnson, and I ended up breaking his jaw. And for me, it was like how has that just happened? It's you just don't think of these things until it's actually happened. Until it's happened, and the effects after. Your children now are getting abused at school, and you're having to walk down the side street in where you're living, and it's the locality of the, like you say, you got the Villas, you got your West Broms, you got your Birmingham fans in the area where I live, and the abuse was, you just don't think of that, and what you don't have to like, you deal with it as a footballer, but you don't and then have to deal with like what goes on to your family after that as well. So yeah, there's always mixed emotions, and then obviously when you go in at Birmingham, your first thought is what people are going to bring up. Yeah. And my first thought was, I just need to play for the shirt. I need to represent Birmingham City to the best that I know I can play, and I need to go out and prove to these fans of why I'm here and what I want to do. You have to represent the shirt as best as you can. Yeah. We know it's tough sometimes because players who get brought for millions of pounds, sometimes they'll have that pressure on their shoulders of, people will always look at you, well, you cost us 20 odd million quid. So now the pressure from the fans are going, well, you're not performing. Or this player's come from a different country, his family are not with him, he's trying to settle in, but also they look at that, the price tag, not only that, but not only that his family are not around him. So there's always different there's always different pressures to deal with as a footballer. But as a footballer, you've got to try and find a way of, this is why I'm here and this is what I need to do. And it's tough. It is tough. Best advice is only that you can take on board.
Yeah.
Kids have to sometimes go through mistakes. You have to make mistakes to learn from them. And that's what I had to go through it. I had to make mistakes as a kid to understand where I wanted to get to. And my best option for me was moving out of Watford.
Yeah.
The best thing I did was move away from Watford and come to West Brom. I knew now that I didn't have that culture behind me where the sort of like the temptations of going, I need to go out, I need to do this.
Yeah.
I need to support my family, but I also need to understand my career with where I need to get to. So the best thing for me was moving away from Watford, even though it hurt, because all my family were there. But my journey now was in a different pathway.
Yeah.
So for me, it was I would always give the kids the best advice. Even on the training pitch, if they watched me train, it would be like, I need to show them how I need to train to understand the levels of what they need to get to. Now again, with you, Jack, it was like I would always speak to you. I would always try and give you the best advice.
Yeah.
But that has to now come from you. I can't control what you do off the field.
Yeah.
But I always would control what was in and around the building or in and around on the football pitch. Now it was down to you as that person to control your emotions. But again, it's like I needed you sometimes to go through them mistakes that you made to understand, well, then, right, I know I don't need to do that. That's not me. I need to be the best version of myself now as a football player, but also off the field as a player, to show example to now the younger generation of what they need to expect from me. Two lowest points of my career were the injuries that I caused to players that I had no intention of doing. Obviously the abuse that you get with your family, you have to protect your family from that. Obviously losing in playoff finals, losing cup final games and things like that, semi-finals, big games where fans know that you've let them down. For me, it's like you say, I always wanted to bounce back by showing what I was all about as a person. So it would always be a reaction, but my reaction for my family was that support, that arm round and protect them. Don't let them take it. I have to take it. It was my fault. It was my decisions I made on the football pitch that have hurt you. There's nothing you can do about that. So yeah, so my reactions were always to try and be positive, try and be upbeat, try and get back to the player that I knew that I was. Yeah. So yeah, setbacks for me was always, yes, I'll deal with them in a different way, but I'll try and let my football do the talking when I was on the football pitch. I think they shaped me pretty well. I had a good career. I made the most of it as much as possible. I've got a thick skin. I can deal with a lot of things throughout my career. But also in my life as well, with my family and with my background. And I think you have to have a thick skin,
yeah. Because
if you let people affect you, then I wouldn't have had and gone on to do the things that I'd have done. Yeah, it would have probably affected me to a point of where would I have still been in Watford drinking, been out with the older generation and wasting my career and letting it go down the drain. Whereas, yeah, I just wanted to go and enjoy knowing what I was good at, and ones you think you trust, they're the ones that you know that probably would have your back, whereas I knew that they didn't have my back. I knew that all they wanted from me was my money. They wanted to spend my money. They wanted to enjoy being around me for who I was. So for me, the most important thing is that I would go out. I loved to drink. I loved to drink. That was my out. When things weren't going well for me at home and with my family, my excuse was go on then, let's just go and have a drink, switch off, like take your mind away. It makes you feel, yeah, brilliant. Go out and cause any trouble, it would just go and drink, make yourself get out of that, like, yeah, oh God, everything's just, don't feel anything. Yeah. What I had to understand is that people would know me and people would recognise me. So I knew I couldn't go out and be stupid, because thankfully then there was no phones. Yeah. And now when you look at social media and how big that is, people would always probably film me like just sitting in a chair asleep or things like that, and been proud of knowing that your family and your children are seeing you in that state. So I had to learn quickly. I had to learn that I couldn't do it. I had to show respect, and I was always open to people that would come up to me and go, look, Robbo, we want your picture. Are you right if you sign this? So yeah, I always knew then that I had to be switched on in knowing that other people weren't thinking of different things to do to me while I was drinking. I thought I handled it well when I was at Birmingham. Obviously, that final decision of making that, you know, your time's coming, you know you need to make that decision to call it a day, and the 23-year career of playing at the highest level is coming to an end. So yeah, the transition at first was really good with Richard Bill, the 21s. Really enjoyed that, being the assistant and working under him and learning like how to sort of like deliver sessions. Then obviously the year after, Bigley ended up leaving and I ended up going with the under 18s, and I struggled. That's when it hit home to me, is that yeah, I really struggled. I didn't know where to turn, I didn't know who to turn to, I didn't have a mentor like I did as a footballer. I didn't have a mentor as a coach, so I had no one to turn to and go, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I think I'd come into a world where it was all about who wants to get where and stab people in the back. And I wasn't interested in that. I had no interest in that. That's not me. Don't like that at all. I like honest conversations face to face. I like being told. I like being helped if someone's struggling. Like, what's the matter? What do you need help with? Like, what can I help you with? Like session plans or things like that. What do you want to do in training? How do you see it? How do I see it? It's like you have that sort of bounce off each other, like you did as a footballer. You wanted to bounce off your teammate and understand the partnership on a football pitch. I never had that when I was under 18s, and yeah, I look back on that as that was a real struggle for me, because the players were now 16 to 18, and I probably put too much pressure on them, thinking that they were me. I thought that they were going to be like me. They thought like me, they played like me, they would understand how I would think that they would see it, and yeah, they didn't. Oh, it's really important. It's important, but it's also important that if the pathway's not there for the first team, is that they go out and experience men's football. I would always say from a young age is that the younger you are to go and get men's football, go and do it. Don't turn it down. It's the best part of your, like, it's the best part of your learning. You're going to get beaten up at times, but you're going to be in a dressing room where you might not see things that you don't like. But that's life. That's part of experiencing what it's all about, your journey. Then if you do come back to the club, then you're hopefully in a better headspace of going, this is what I want. I need this. I need to play at this level. I need to understand this level. So yeah, for me, the best part of learning up, and I had that as a kid. I made my debut when I was 17 for Watford's first team, but I played reserve team football for Watford as well against men. So I got beaten up, and that was my upbringing. But also, like, looking back on it as well, off the field, if I hadn't learned the hard times of what it was like to sort of understand that's not what I want, then would I have gone on to have my career in the way that I had it? No, because I had made them mistakes to understand. I'd learnt not to go out and do them things, but then I'd also learnt on the football pitch that it was okay to get beaten up by men, and it would make me the toughness and make me the player that I needed to be later on in my career. And it was like that was the great thing about it, is that I knew that whatever levels I was setting as an academy player, I knew then that I had coaches around me to support me, but also the link with Graham Taylor into the first team was important, that they were feeding back on who's the best young talent coming through. So Graham Taylor, I remember it clearly. It's like I had no idea I was going to be involved, and then it was the local derby, so it was against Luton. I would go in and just say, play your game. In my head I'd be like, play your own game. Just play to how you know you can, and do the things that are right, like the basics of just play a 5-yard pass when you get on the pitch to start with. So you would build your way up into the game of playing sensible passes. Then you might try one, might not come off. Who cares? At least you're trying it. Do it again, give me the ball. But I also had really good senior players around me, senior players that I knew that would have my back, that they would help me. And again, in a rivalry like that buzz, that atmosphere, I just loved it. I just loved the atmosphere and the excitement of knowing that I've just made my debut against our local rivals. It's great when things are going well and you're winning, but now you think of that child now that's got to come into a hostile environment of where things are not going well. You're down at the bottom, but now it depends on that manager's got to show faith and trust in that player to go on in them situations, knowing that things are not going well. He's going to make mistakes, so you have to now support that young player and knowing that he's going into a hostile environment and he's going into a position that's not great, and the team's near the bottom of the league, but you're prepared to give him that opportunity. Do managers do that? No, they don't. They don't do that now with the younger lads. They're prepared to just go with these more experienced players thinking that they're getting through it, and it doesn't work sometimes. It doesn't work. So yeah, for me, the best learning is making mistakes and understanding that it's okay to do that. Tense, it's horrible. Like, the industry's become a negative industry, football has. And I have to find different ways of with myself now, biting my lip to get through things. And I always have to go and ask people questions. Do people come and ask me questions how I'm feeling? No, because they just assume that I will get through it, of what I've had to do and how I've done it throughout my career. But I still want people to ask me how I'm feeling. That's just the way I am. I would always just go in and check on people to make sure they're okay. In the game anymore, I find it tough because I want to pass on my experiences. I want to help people. I know I can help people, but we're in a world now where, yeah, it's hard to get back into the game when you're out of it. It is hard. Again, the phone stops ringing. The phone don't ring. People don't phone. Rob, how are you getting on? I would probably say I have, on one hand, 5 people that I know that I can speak to that I could give a call and say, not feeling the best today. And now I can have that conversation with someone. And it clears my mind of going, yeah, it is. But I have to keep going. I have to keep going for my family. My family, they're the ones who put smiles on my faces when I see my boys now playing football. It gives me great sense of they are going to go through what I went through at some point. So I have to be there to support them, get them through the tough times. And I have to give them the advice of what they would want to give, because I know that certain managers don't do that. I have to be a role model for them. I have to stand by their side when they're going through tough times. And I will stand by their side when they're going through the good times. That's life. That's part and parcel of life, is that I will always support my family and make sure that they get through it with whatever they're going through, off the field as well. I have to be there. I have to do that. I'm a parent. It's my duty as a father to do that. My goal was to play as many games as I could and enjoy my football as much as I could as a football player, because careers are short. People get injuries and have to retire. They do, and that's part and parcel of the game, is that players will get serious injuries and they lose where do they go next. It's like, as a player, it's like, would I have followed that crowd of going out and drinking, knowing that I've just wasted my career and I switched off from football and I enjoyed the nightlife? That would have been on me. That was me. That was only me that made them decisions. Nobody else. I couldn't blame anyone else. It was my choice. I always want to leave an imprint on how I come across to people, of like, did I say the right things? Did I help them the right way? Did I give them, like you say, did I push them enough to what I could have done? But my advice also would be is to make the most of it. Don't waste it. Don't waste your talent. Don't waste the career that you could possibly go on and have, in knowing that something else held you back. Go and make the most of it as much as possible, but enjoy it and speak and listen to people. Listen to the right people that are giving you the right advice.